Good afternoon. This is Lucas Brockman. I'm here to tell you about the part 3 of my project analyzing the risk and reliability of the makerspace down in Brown Building basement. Here is my FMEA. I decided to break it up into 4 categories. The raw material supply and storage of the metal shop, as well as the additive manufacturing shop, as well as machinery failure in both of those shops as well. Sorry, not feeling very good. In this, basically all you have to do is rate the probability of occurrence between 1 and 10, as well as the severity of that risk happening, and the detectability of that for an early detection. Basically any type of sensing of how that'll fail before it actually does. So most of the material storage was material falling and ending in the material crushing the person after it falls. The RPM is just these 3 columns multiplied together, and the material falling on a person has a RPM value of 175, which is one of the highest. In this section, also micro material damage due to improper handling rated very high, because the odds of somebody damaging the microstructure of a metal and then it failing, or such as a crack in it, and then it failing while it's in use, is something that would be very bad if it happened. For the raw material supply and storage of the additive manufacturing shop, there weren't very many high rating risks in there, the largest being a caustic accident due to incorrect storage labeling. So this is like the 3D printer baths down in the additive manufacturing shop that uses a basic solution to dissolve the support material. For the machinery failure of the metal shop, one of the highest risks was a part being thrown due to a faulty vise, or if it wasn't properly used and tightened into the vise. I have personally had many parts get thrown from the vise, and it is quite terrifying and can be extremely problematic and dangerous. Another one very similar is if the tool grabs the correct part due to incorrect feeds and speeds. This can happen if just the blade of the cutter digs into the part and grabs it and throws it. So this is another very common thing that is extremely dangerous both to the operator as well as any of the tooling. Also, the same thing can happen because of a dull tool. Those have a tendency to grab into the part more. Another one is machinery breakdown. So, for example, on a lathe, you can power feed into the chuck of the lathe, and this can cause excessive damage to the lathe itself as well as to the operator and the part being machined. Let's see, and then machine inaccuracy is another one, very similar to the micro material damage. For example, if the vise is slightly misaligned, you can cut many parts with it and they'd all be wrong, but they might be close enough to correct to where you won't notice it. So this could have an effect on the strength of the part, just the fit of the part. You can go through a dozen parts without realizing that they're wrong, and then you'd have to go back and redo them, costing time, money, and efficiency. Something kind of similar to that is excessive backlash. If the gears within the machine are too worn, then the accuracy of the metal is compromised. Down in the machinery failure in the additive manufacturing shop, one of the highest, or the highest, was a print failure on the microstructure of the 3D printed part. So this is like if the layers debonded from each other while it was in use. Another one that's pretty high is a microprint failure. This is mostly just because of its high probability and its its low detectability. For example, in the MakerBots downstairs, one time the machine put all of the plastic through the nozzle at once, and it wasted a very expensive print roll and impacted the entire 3D printer with semi-molten plastic. So that's bad. That can be related down to this material feed failure of the print head, because it is very undetectable and it can waste a lot of material and potentially harm the printer itself. Another thing is a material heater failure. I haven't personally heard of any of this happening, but I can imagine that any of the heaters involved with the 3D printing, whether that be in the head, the build plate, etc., if those were to short out and catch fire, it could possibly cause a fire to spread to the rest of the room, possibly the rest of the building. The last one is faulty motors, especially if they're only slightly faulty, very similar to the machine inaccuracy due to a misaligned vise. This could lead to misprinted parts that you wouldn't notice that they're being wrong. Anyway, thanks for listening, and I will see you later.